everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our Firefly app. So the goal today is really just to expose you guys to the life and journey of having a career in the healthcare system, specifically as a cardiac surgeon today. And so as many of you are likely to go into healthcare or are considering it, and so this is just an opportunity for you to get to know a little bit more about it. So we'll be asking questions for the first half, and then you guys can get to know Dr. Errett here a bit better. And then for the, later part, if we have time, which we might not just because of what happened today, there'll be time for you guys to ask questions. You can also message us questions and we'll forward the letters if you have any.
You have a list of questions.
We do have those.
I'll introduce myself and tell them about my journey. They can ask something about that. Good morning. I walked in the door. My first step, the fire drill went off. I didn't know where I was. It's been a long time since I've been in high school. The last time I gave the commencement address in Trenton High School, where I went. And in my journey, I went off from high school, and most of you are in grade 12, I went off to university not knowing what I was going to do. Actually, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. And I met a lawyer, I was introduced to a lawyer in downtown Toronto. I didn't come from here, I came from Trenton. And he had a fancy office and he looked like, well, and I told him he was doing well, and I told him I was going to go to law school. And he said, why would you do a damn fool thing like that? So he pointed out that a lot of lawyers aren't happy with their lot in life after they get to be 45. And he made me think a little bit, I was a little impressionable. And if you fast forward 35, 40 years, he became a very good friend of mine. And he's a philanthropist. He was a lawyer for Colonel Saunders, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he owned a bunch of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I didn't know it at the time, but he gave a lot of things. When I came back to Toronto, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, he's donated $100 million to the University of Toronto and various causes. I've helped him. He's come to me, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And we have breakfast every Saturday morning and have done so for more than 25 years. So I got to know him pretty well. He's older than I am, and richer than I am. But he was one of the questions was a mentor. He was a businessman, I'm a physician. So I finished my bachelor's degree and I didn't have the qualifications to go into medical school. So I switched and took the qualifications and got into medical school. And I went from Guelph to Queens and then got into medical school at Memorial. I went there because I was in a hurry to do everything. And I got an advanced standing because I'd taken advanced courses and I got advanced standing. So after that, I wanted to train as a surgeon. Why did I want to train as a surgeon? Because I didn't think I was smart enough to be anything else. I thought surgeons worked with their hands, and I didn't think I could be a nephrologist, a kidney doctor, or an internal medicine doctor, because but I did well in all the surgeries. So that influenced me a bit. And I like the idea of seeing a patient get better. Because when I was on the internal medicine ward or the other wards, the patients were the same patients that were there when I started the rotation as were at the end. Whereas in the surgery ward, they changed, we got the better, so that was in my character to see things get better, to see some fruition to what the work you do. That may be a bit immature, but that's how I looked upon it. And I went into surgery. I went to Queens, which is in Kingston, did general surgery there. And I got interested. The chief of surgery got sick. And he was a vascular surgeon. He did blood vessel surgery. And even though he was sick, he didn't want to stop practicing. and he was in the hospital, and he'd come down from his hospital bed to the operating room and tell me what to do. A little different, but that's what happened. I got interested in blood vessel surgery. General surgery is more the abdomen, breast, thyroid. My goal was to be a surgeon in a small town and coach the hockey team. That was my goal. But that goal changed when I went to vascular surgery because there's not vascular surgeons in a lot of small towns. And then the vascular surgery at the time stopped at the diaphragm. You could do everything below that, carotid arteries, but you couldn't do anything with the heart. But the heart surgeons could do everything. I thought it may be a better approach to do heart surgery. And I wanted to do a year of research first. So I applied and I got into a program in Oxford in England. And got to be a fellow there, and it's called a Nuffield Fellow, which paid my way, and got a good research background, and then went on to McGill in Montreal, where I got accepted to do cardiac surgery, heart surgery, blood vessel surgery, and thoracic surgery. And that was good. That was an excellent training. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Satisfied getting the patients better in a hurry. So those are choices I made. And if I can leave you with anything today, it's you that have to make the choices. Choice is what's best for you. You ask, what is my goal in life? What am I doing about it? And what am I going to do about it? And you ask yourself, what am I suited for? Like, I didn't think I was suited for internal medicine because I didn't think I was smart enough. And that was honest truth. I didn't think I was smart. Later, I didn't think they were smart enough to do. And anyway, we went on to do the research in cardiac surgery at McGill. And Quebec was in a turmoil, a real turmoil, because of the French English. I was English speaking, but spoke French to the patients. But it was difficult getting along in English because you had to do an exam. And I did an exam, I did my studies at McGill, the French department at McGill, to pass this exam. But McGill was not satisfactory for the people who were doing the exams. The Berlitz language school or the YMCA language school was okay, but McGill wasn't. So, and then I was doing an operation on a famous hockey player's father-in-law. I got to meet the famous hockey player, but I was concerned about the operation. And I got a call saying, you got to stop doing this operation because you didn't do the French in the right place. I said, this is nuts. You can't stop somebody on an operation. So I was a little upset with that, but we got that straightened out, so it was okay. But I went on to, that night, I got a call from Yale, at Yale, where some doctor was looking for a new young surgeon who had these skills of, I won't get into the electrophysiology surgery, which I had because I spent some time at Duke after I was at McGill and then came back to McGill. But Duke University is in North Carolina. And so they phoned, anyway, they got a hold of me and asked me if I was interested in coming to Yale, which at that particular day I was. I liked Montreal, I liked the people I worked with. And I went on to, went to Yale, and I was there for 8 years. In the time I was there, everything was going fine. I had a very good practice and everything was good. But in the practice, there were several surgeons that were stealing money from the rest of this. I'm giving you some real life experiences that, and the message there is work with people you like and trust. I mean, nobody would ever suspect these guys, but they were caught. And I thought, this has turned out not so good because we have to break up the group and when the Blue Jays were playing the 1994 World Series, and Guy Dell hit a home run before you were born. And I was watching it when I was down in Connecticut, and I thought, that's great. I'll go in tomorrow and tell all these Americans that Canadians play baseball better than they do. But it was American. It's Americans anyway. But that night, just after that home run, I got a call from the University of Toronto asking me if I wanted to look at the job as being the chief of cardiac surgery here in Toronto. I said, that sounds good. Other things happened though along the way. In my personal life, my wife passed away right then. So I had 3 kids. They were, I don't know, that, and that. Not very old. And I didn't have a nanny or anything like that. I was too stupid to have a nanny. I could afford it, but I thought I could do everything myself. Look after them, school. I thought going back to Canada, where I was from, I had a better resource in terms of a network of family and to help. And I understood, and these guys had just stolen a lot of money from us. These guys are partners. So that was a situation, independent of doing the career, that was pretty significant. So we came, another job offer in Utah. And because at the time, the stuff I did was popular. And so we went out to Utah and my kids didn't like it. So I said, I'm going to give you each half a vote and I get a full vote. And but you've got 1.5 votes. So you can outvote me. They all voted not to go to Utah. So we didn't. That was the reason we didn't go to Utah. But when we came to Toronto, they all voted yes. So, and I voted yes too. So there was no question about that. And they flourished here and did extremely well. And they've all graduated from university and have their own lives. But that move, that choice was to come back. And at that time, a lot of Canadian doctors were going south because they make a lot more money in the United States and there's not as much taxes. You know, life is generally easier, at least it's perceived as being easier in the United States financially. So that I was interviewed by CNN. Why would a Canadian go back who's seemingly got a pretty good situation here in the United States? The Americans are a little protective of their way of life. They think nothing's better than America. Well, there is something better than America, but they asked me why I was going, and I said, this was 1994. And I said, look, there's problems in the United States are 2 things that I can see that have to be fixed, or it's going to lead to worse and worse problems. And one of those 2 problems, in my mind, my opinion, is that racism is one, and the gross inequity between the poor and the rich. And and so you've got to have a safety net down here, and these people have got to pay more attention, the people at the high end. So that interview, I didn't think that would go anywhere, but it was on CNN, and they played it, a little snippet of it, when Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton's wife, who ran for president, was on a show called Larry King, who used to be a talk show on CNN. And she said, she heard that. She said, and she was trying to get new health care in the United States. And she said, I agree with what that Dr. Errett just said on TV. That's what we've got to emphasize. And so my partners at Yale thought it's being a bit silly, but going back to Canada, but nonetheless, I came back and everything went pretty well here. I mean, we did very well. I had my friend who told me not to go into law school had donated about $25 million to our hospital for cardiac surgical care. So we did a lot of things with that money. We had seminars and we had national conferences where we invited all the cardiac residents, the trainees, to here. We paid their way. We put them up in the Royal York Hotel, and they exchanged their ideas. So it was a novel thing that happened. We built a research laboratory, and we hired a lot of good surgeons. And so that was a good part of the career. But as I grew older, the cardiologists who do the angiograms and the angioplasty, they open up the blood vessels with stents instead of doing surgical procedures. That was getting better and better. So the numbers of patients was getting less and less, and the numbers of cardiac surgeons was getting a bit less and less as time went on. But we were still training a lot of surgeons. So there, at the time, I was at an age and that I thought, thinking about doing something else, retiring for one, but I didn't want to retire. But there were 22 young cardiac surgeons who'd done 15 years of study after high school, and didn't have a job. They became cardiac surgeons, and there were no jobs in Canada, 22 of them. So I have a practice that's big enough to have 2 of them come in and take over. So it was not right, and it was not fair to me when I talked about the inequities, that I was here and they were down here, and I could bring them up just by leaving. So I got interested, and I have been interested for a long time, of global surgery. Global surgery, what we do is service, educate, and try to leave something sustainable behind in low-income countries. So I've traveled to 34 different countries, China 23 times, into 160 different places in China, built 11 programs in China, and increased the capacity, provide service by operating, educate, and try to leave something sustainable behind. And the sustainability could be a number of things. It could be just the education. We can't go to China right now. So, and I've been to other places. And the other place I'm concentrating on right now is Jamaica, where we're building a hospital there. We started building a hospital out of sea containers. Quite a different mindset than doing cardiac surgery at the operating table to building a hospital. But you learn, you've got to continue to learn all the time. That's why we're here. We got to continue to learn and offer something to somebody else. So that was COVID put the kibosh on that for a while, but we're back at it. We're going to I have a very interesting presentation with lots of neat pictures about how we went about doing that and how we treated patients in Jamaica, which is a poor country, and otherwise these patients would never get the service. Okay? So that's the background. And the choices one makes along the way are based on circumstance, family circumstance, your own likes and desires, wants and wishes, and that have to be realistic. I played hockey all the time. I was a youngster, and I thought I could make the NHL, but I can't. I can't make the NHL. Even I gave that up when I was about 30. So I know I can't make the NHL. And sometimes you know you can't be in internal medicine. it may not be that wasn't smart enough, but really what it's about was I didn't have the temperament to last the length of time looking after patients, the same sort of patients. I wanted some gratification. That may be a fault, but that's what it was. I wanted some gratification that you're doing something definitive for the patient. So that's the background. I know I've taken some time, but I've tried to illustrate some along the way of choices that you had to make. Now, a couple of things that I think are important, in terms of what you can do. What you can do, I talked about elitism and how people can do anything. If they're rich, they can go to anywhere, any school, and they can afford it. My father was a janitor. He couldn't afford to send us anywhere. Just we had to make our own way. So you had to have that drive and the ability, because it's basically work. Work will get you where you want to go. That's the master word, is work. And if you have, but you've got to figure out for yourself what's the best avenue to take. And if there's competition, you've got to match yourself to that competition to get the desired result you want. I'll answer your questions.
So that's actually like the start of class. So
Oh, okay.
we have a lot of time, but I'd be able to give you your email, or like if you have any videos that
I have lots of presentations and lots of videos, but we did a documentary not too long ago. It's called The Legacy of Dr. Norman Bethune. And that's available to watch. I've spoken all the time. I would like to know your opinions or your views of what you want to do and how you want to get there. Because it's, the three things: making the choice of what you want to do, how are you going to get there, what you're going to do about it. So I can't apologize for the fire drill. I didn't have anything to do with it. That was it. But be glad to take any of your questions. I think I have some cards that you could maybe photocopy, and I may have some cards.
Yeah. I have like a server that everyone's in, so I could like send it.
Yeah. That's in English and that's in Chinese. Take a card. And this is a card for when I go to China. You give them the Chinese card, and they appreciate the effort. I can't speak too many words of Chinese, but that's and that's I don't know if do we have 0 time or?
Yeah, the class is supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Okay.